Kingdom people, they want to have a relationship with God, but they don't want to have to give up certain things. There are certain people that are around you that are aware of you. Some may be even in your life or around your life, if you will. They see the relationship you have with God. They see how God's glory is on you. They see how God is blessing you. They see how God has anointed you. They see how you're moving and walking in purpose. And they know that ultimately it's because God is leading you, guiding you, directing you. And ultimately his hand is upon you. His glory is upon you. His light shines in and through you. And they want that. They actually want a relationship with God, for some of them, for the ones I'm speaking of. And so when God first gave this to me, it really tripped me out because it stemmed from him sharing with me, like many other times, people who are jealous, they watch you and obsess over you and all this, try to stop you, block you, and have all this envy and jealousy in their heart, wish ill will on you, hope you don't make it, hope you don't, all those things. And that is a form of witchcraft too. All those things are a form of witchcraft. Now, there are those, of course, who practice in an occult. They're actually doing things, dark things, to wish you harm, to bring you down, to cause you issues, and that's a deeper witchcraft. But the ones in particular who want the relationship with God like they see you have, or just want their own relationship, but they want it because of what they see with you. They see how your relationship with God produces good fruit in you, and they want that. And so when God gave me this, I was appalled, maybe even shocked, when he said to me that there are some who want a relationship with me, meaning God. That's what he said to me. He said, but they don't want to have to give up some things. And he went on to explain to me, because when he first said to me, they want a relationship with me. That's what he said first. I said, well, what's stopping them? Why don't they just have a relationship with you? Because he was saying this along with the fact that he was seeing how they're jealous, they're envious of your relationship with me. And then he went on to say they want a relationship with me because of the relationship they see that you have with me. And I said, well, why don't they just have a relationship with you? And he said, God said, well, they don't want to have to give up certain things. And he went on to explain that some people are in certain kind of relationships. They may be even in a courtship. They have a girlfriend or a boyfriend with no plans or intentions of getting married. Many a times the woman, if it would be up to her, she would, but she may be with a man that's not thinking about that or just don't want that. And so she don't want to have to give him up. That can go the other way as well. But God pointed out to me, women not wanting to give up their boyfriends. Some women or men are in relationships, or marriages, should I say, and they don't want to give up their husband or their wife, knowing that their husband or their wife would not be okay if they were to have a relationship with God, if they were to want to go God's way, develop that relationship, become more spiritual, get more closer with God. They know that would be a problem for them. Some have even tried it and saw the resistance, the opposition from their partner, husband or wife. In many cases, could be girlfriend and boyfriend, but God specifically spoke to me about people in marriages. And I can identify with that. Because I used to be married to someone, don't care to go too much into that opposed me developing a closer relationship with God. They opposed me going deeper with God. They opposed the ways of God. They literally were trying to take me backwards into the ways of the world, the ways of the enemy. And ultimately, in my situation, they kind of were trying to cause me to be under them. They were trying to oppress me. They were trying to cause me to shrink my light, hide it. But they wanted to ride it. But they wanted to be the one up, on the up and up, and wanted to push me down so they can just ride my wave, ride my light, so to speak. Benefit from, what I came with, but they didn't want me to continue or develop a deeper relationship with God. In fact, they wanted me to worship them like they were God. They didn't like the relationship that I had with God because of how I love God, how I worship Him, how I put Him at the forefront, how a lot of things I said was God. They didn't like that. They wanted me to see them that way. As God, they wanted me, in other words, to put them in front of God. They wanted to be my God. And so, in some ways, that's what a lot of people experience. Their mate don't like when they want to have a relationship with God or deepen their relationship with God or put too much emphasis on God, when they trust God, when they let God lead them. They don't like that. And the issue is, in this case, is some people won't have that relationship with God because they don't want to give up their mate, which means that they prefer their mate over God. They're a God pleaser. And of course, we know that's idolatry. That means you're putting another above God. Scripture even says that if you don't hate your mother, father, brother, sister, then you're not worthy of the kingdom. You're not worthy of Him. You're not worthy to be His disciple. And it doesn't really mean hate them. It just means if you put somebody else above Him, then you're not fit for the kingdom. And so people also don't want to let go of some of their habits. They don't want to even let go. Listen to this, kingdom people, of some of their evil ways. Can you believe it? And they may not even think of their ways as evil. They may just know that it's not the best thing for them, but they don't want to give them up because it's what they know, it's what they're accustomed to. They might not even be happy with the results they're getting at this point because they do need to grow. They need to change their way of seeing, thinking, and doing things, but they don't want to. They don't want to change. In other words, they're resistant to change. They don't want to do what's necessary. And developing a relationship with God requires change. In fact, when you have a relationship with God, it's going to make you change. And if it's not making you change and transform, you got to question that. That's how we know many of people that call themselves Christians or people of God, because we don't see the fruit of God. We don't see change. We don't see transformation in them. We don't see them looking more like God, more like Christ. We question their relationship with God. We realize they really don't have a relationship with God, or they just keep it right here, which means they're not growing in God. Their relationship with God is stale. And it doesn't mean that you don't grow from some places. We all have to start somewhere from wherever we are, but there should be a gradual progression. There should be continuous growth. And so we don't see that. We know that people don't bear the fruit that they should if they are truly in relationship with God. And so people who don't even have a relationship with God won't even get one because they don't want to make those changes. They just opt out. And I used to always say how people say they're going to get themselves together first and they're going to come to God. I always hear this attitude: God is the one who helps you make the changes you need to. He helps you to grow. You need Him to grow. You need Him to prosper and transform and do the things you need to do. And so many of these people, they don't even want to take that initial step, because even taking that initial step, they know it's going to require them to do some things different, specifically to see the growth, the elevation, the light that they see in you. They understand that really does require true growth and transformation. And that's something they really don't want to have to go through, because again, they do understand, those that we're speaking of, they understand that means you have to let go of some things, that you can't continue the way you are. And so some people hold on to what they know, even if it's not good for them, because they're familiar with it. Also, they have this thing in their mind where they feel like, what would they do without what they think they know, what they think they are, what they're accustomed to? So it's a fear of the unknown. Again, although they know that what it is for them, they're not satisfied with, they're not content, but it's what they know. And so again, kingdom people, these people in particular, they want a relationship with God. They want that relationship, and you make them want that relationship, but they don't want to have to let go. They don't want to have to let go and let God. They don't want to give up their boyfriend and girlfriend. They don't want to have to deal with the opposition of their husband and wife. And in many of those cases, it's just a matter of that may not be your God-ordained husband or wife. Because many a times, kingdom people, we put ourselves in situations that God never ordained. And even though we do it, many times God will use it to help us, to teach us, for us to grow from, learn lessons from, but not to continue. How that saying go, you have to know who's seasonal and who's for life, who's permanent. And so when you're not willing to let go of what doesn't serve you to get what God has for you, then what happens? You will never get what God has for you. You'll never become who God has created you to be. You'll never actually have that true relationship with God. And so there are some people, kingdom people, that want a relationship with God because of what they see in you, but they don't want to have to give up certain things. They don't want to have to give up certain habits. They don't want to have to give up certain people. And it doesn't even just have to be a mate. It can be anything, any person. Even I'm hearing even family, because the family will oppose you too. As many of you all know, when you level up with God, they oppose you because they're not leveled up the way you are. And so they begin to attack you, comfort you. Sometimes they were already doing that, many times in very underhanded ways. And at some point you caught on to it. Either way, when you really level your game up with God, they really comfort you. And when they really see who you are in Christ, to the extent that they do, because they can't really see you. But when you just start leveling up in Him, they don't like that. And so I'm saying that to say some people don't want to have to deal with that opposition. Again, they may have attempted it. They may have tried it. And they saw the opposition that they got, so they fell back. They didn't continue because they didn't want to have to deal with that and experience that. And sometimes people are just not, I want to say strong enough, and that is true, to push through that. But the other part of that is you have to really want God enough. I was talking to a young lady the other day about another young lady we know, and she was sharing with me how this individual, she keeps trying to get her life right, but she keep going backwards, and she keep trying to get it right. And she said that she was just explaining to her how, I'm gonna try this again. And I said, my friend that I was talking to, she said, she just make excuses for why she keep falling back into that. And as I listened, I thought about this, and I ended up saying how you have to want it enough. You have to want God enough. Or you have to not want what it was. When you come to a place you don't want that no more, you're not going back to it. When you want what God has for you, want to be who God created you to be, more, just period, not even more than what it was, you're not going to go back to that. When you don't want what it was, you're not going back to it. I have no interest in my past or anything that I used to do or any people that I used to deal with or whatever. Anything that doesn't serve me, anything that doesn't align with who I am now and where I'm going, who I'm becoming, where God is taking me. Anyone that doesn't align with that, most people that I left in my past, I have no interest in. Most things that I left in my past, I have no interest in. So much so I can't be tempted with it because it doesn't appeal to me. It's what was. I learned on that. I went through that. I walked through that. So I don't have to walk through that again because I'm not in that place. I'm in a different place in my life, moving forward. And so, kingdom people, that's pretty much what it takes for you to want to move forward, for you to want to move forward with God, for the things of God, for what He has for you at all costs. In other words, can't no person not being in agreement with you and your relationship with God and what God is doing with you and for you keep you from doing it, because you will let go of these people and those things. But you're not letting go of God and your relationship with God and what He's doing in your life or what He has for you. You ain't letting go of that. You will let go of them and that stuff. Period. I was about to say first, but period. Kingdom people. Yet there are people who want a relationship with God because of the relationship that they see that you have with God. They kind of desire that. They want that. They somewhat yearn for it, if we're going to use that way to describe it. Yet they don't want to give up certain things. They don't want to let certain things go. They want to hold on to everything that God say they need to let go of, but they want and have the relationship with God at the same time. And it just don't work like that. It just don't work like that. And so, kingdom people, they want to have a relationship with God like the relationship they see that you have with God or their own, but they don't want to give up certain things.